What's going on, guys? Matt over here, Lethal Camaro, and today we are doing an install guide for the 2016-2017 blade spoiler wicker bill from ZL1 add-ons. Now, this is a pretty quick and easy install. It does require you to be able to line things up. You do need some specific tools, specifically the rev nut tool, which is like a rivet nut that you're going to be using to fasten. You need a drill with some bits to be able to drill through it, and just the ability to have patience, I would say. So let's get right into what's in the kit and what you need for this install. So what comes in the package, you're obviously going to get the wicker bill and then the centerpiece. We don't need the centerpiece for alignment of the install. You really just need the bottom or the main piece that's mounting first. I do use a Sharpie marker. That's why I use the painter's tape, so I can mark it all up. I have my cordless drill. You can use a corded drill, whatever. I have two drill bits. One is what I use for the pilot holes when I'm drilling holes into the blade spoiler. And then I have, I believe it's a 5/32 bit, which is the same size, or actually it's a little bit smaller than the riv nut, and then I just drill it out just a little bit so it's a perfect tight fit when I put it in. And then obviously you get the riv nuts in the package, plus all the bolts, the washer, so it's gonna go bolt, metal washer, and then the rubber washer. And that's gonna drill right into, you know, these go right into the wicker bill and mount it to the car. The other big tool, and you have two options here, this is a riv nut tool, or you can go with the ZL1 add-ons riv nut tool that they created. This one is a lot easier to work with and use, but if you want to save yourself 30 bucks, you can order the one that ZL1 add-ons created, but do know it's a little bit harder to use. So let's get right into the install. Right now, what we're doing is we're figuring out the center point of the wicker bill. And we have to have it sitting up higher because you don't want it sitting lower than the spoiler. Now we can make it sit level here if you want, like that. I don't recommend we go any higher than that. What we've done here is we found center. We found center on the actual wicker bill. We lined it up, and what I did is I'm gonna drill the first two outside holes first, and then that way we'll get the riv nuts in there, we'll mount it properly, and then we'll get the two outer holes on both sides. So that's the next step. So I'm gonna fast forward past this part, and but I'll walk you through how to put the riv nuts in. Okay, so at this point, I am gonna be drilling into the car. This is probably the most nerve-wracking part for just about anybody. Keep in mind that the deck lid spoiler is fairly flush with the car. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be drilling at an angle into the vehicle so we don't go into the deck lid. That being said, just be really careful. Again, I always use a pilot drill bit first so we can get the hole in there nice and straight and good. And then I'll follow up with the bigger bit and we'll be good to go. So here we go. Okay, so you guys saw me struggling there. It was not the easiest thing to do on this car. One, this deck lid spoiler is made out of plastic. So that being said, your bit will want to have a tendency to chew through more of that. So be very careful when you're drilling your holes. The other side of it is it's really shallow. So, and I can't really show you here because I didn't carve this one out, but you can see how my bit wanted to chew through this one quite a bit. But what I'm actually using is a scalpel to cut through the plastic to make it a perfect cut so the riv nut fits. But when you put this riv nut in, it's going to be about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch sticking out until you get that first squeeze in. Once you get that first squeeze in with the riv tool, then it will sit flush with this and you're good to go. So it's kind of scary at first, but it works out in the end. So you're doing it right, I promise. Okay guys, so as you saw, we drilled the holes, we mounted the first two outer, the left and right of center, there you go, bolts. They're mounted in place. We have it sitting pretty tight, and this is now all lined up with the car center. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mark the two outside holes. Now this is really important that we get it lined up perfectly and match on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have one person hold that side once we get it all aligned, and then we'll also hold that side. I'll mark them, and then we'll pull it off, we'll drill the holes, we'll install those riv nuts, and then we'll almost be good to go. Once we get those and make sure it all lines up, we'll also do the center one here, and then we'll be finished. So I'm just gonna skip through all of that, so it's super fast mode, and next up we'll be mounting the final wicker bill. Here we go. I don't have a fine finish drill bit, so what I've noticed in here is it's actually the bit, because it's a masonry bit, it's chewing into the plastic too much. Now, it's not too bad. I mean, you could use a scalpel. If you just get a fine finish bit that's made for plastics or hard composites, it will do a lot better. But in this case, I'm going to use my Dremel to drill out these holes because it's a lot faster than trying to use a knife. And then also the knife was kind of cutting through the plastic pretty quickly, so I don't want to accidentally slip and mess up this spoiler. So yeah, here we go. Okay guys, that is the full install. I did skip ahead to, you know, installing the final piece here. You guys have seen me screwing bolts on these wicker bills a couple times now. So basically you screw it all in, get it lined up, and you're good to go. But here it is. Quick notes on the install, guys. Most of these screws and bolts were easy to put in as far as the rivets come along. Now, as you guys saw, I did skip ahead mounting all this because you guys have seen it in my other videos. If you guys didn't see it in another video and this is your first time, check out my other wicker bill installs in the upper right hand corner. I'll link them for you guys. But for the blade spoiler, we chose, and I'll show you we chose to have, it has to be elevated above the way it's designed, so don't feel like this black line is gonna line up with the blade, because the blade is pretty low profile. But because we chose to keep it at the height that we did, it made it a little difficult for these bolts right here, for the riv nut to go in, because the way the spoiler is designed, like the spoiler comes up like this, but on the inside, the design, it curves on the inside and the bolt was hitting there, so it's going to make it hard for your rivet. So in our case, we're pretty flush with the lower bottom. We did that on purpose, but it does come up a little bit on the edges by design. But if I was to redo it just knowing the design of the blade, I would probably lift everything up another ½ inch, and you'll avoid any issues with getting that rivet in there at an awkward angle, because the rivet, or the riv nut's a little bit long, and it hits the inside of that spoiler at the height that we set it at. So in this instance, and I can show you, we got a stainless steel washer and a rivet, and so I'm just gonna put the washer in there so we don't have that issue, and it will look fine. So, but that's basically it. That's the full install. Looks really clean, really nice. If you guys are interested in the blade spoiler look. So there you have it, guys. That is the full install of the ZL1 add-ons wicker bill for the GM blade spoiler. Again, this works on the 1LE blade spoiler. If you order the blade spoiler for GM and you add it to your car after the fact, this works for that. Again, the install in this instance was probably the most challenging for that, just those notes that I outlined, that because of the height that we set the splitter or the wicker bill at, it made it hard to get those riv nuts in. Again, I would move it up ½ inch at most, and you can move it higher if you want, if that's what you want it to look like. but it's all up to you on the height. So just find your center point, get your lines across, same way I set it up at the beginning of this video, and you'll be good. So, as always guys, thanks for watching that content. If you enjoyed this install, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. If not, likes, comments, shares, always appreciated. But until next time guys, I'll see you on the road.